Today, we are diving into one of the most fundamental, elegant, and, let's be honest, absolutely beautiful processes in all of biology, reproduction. It's this incredibly intricate biological symphony that ensures life itself goes on. But let's start with a really basic question. Why does life continue at all? Why doesn't every species just fizzle out? Well, the answer is this powerful biological imperative, this fundamental drive to create the next generation. All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the big why, then look at life's two main strategies, to clone or combine. From there, we'll zoom into the two human production lines, the hormone system that acts like a control panel, that famous 28-day cycle, and finally, the incredible moment of creation itself. So first things first, what is the absolute non-negotiable purpose of this whole complicated process? It really boils down to this simple and profound truth. Reproduction is the one and only way a species can keep going. It's the mechanism for passing the blueprint of life from one generation to the next. Without it, every single species would be a biological dead end. Period.
Now, to solve this problem of continuation, evolution basically came up with two main game plans. You can either make a perfect copy of yourself, or you can mix and match with a partner. On one side, you've got asexual reproduction. Think of it as nature's cloning machine. It's super fast, super efficient. If you're perfectly suited to your environment, why mess with a winning formula? But on the other side, you've got sexual reproduction. It's slower, it takes way more energy, but it creates something priceless, genetic variety. And that variety is the ultimate insurance policy for survival in a world that is always changing.
So, what's the engine behind all this genetic mixing? It's a process called meiosis, and honestly, the best way to think of it is as a genetic lottery. It's the special type of cell division that takes the genes from both parents and just shuffles the deck, making sure that every single sperm and every single egg is a totally unique combination. This right here is the source code for evolution.
Okay, let's bring this down to the human level. How do we create these special cells, the sperm and the egg? As it turns out, the two production lines couldn't be more different. The contrast here is just stark. On the male side, spermatogenesis is like a non-stop factory, just churning out millions upon millions of sperm from puberty onward. But the female system, oogenesis, is a whole different story. It's a process that actually starts before birth, then it pauses for decades, and then it focuses all of its energy on making just one large, resource-rich egg each cycle.
And let's just talk about scale for a second. The male strategy is all about overwhelming the odds. We're talking about 100 to 300 million sperm in a single go. It is quite literally a numbers game. And then you have the female strategy, which is the polar opposite. It's not about quantity, it's about a massive investment in a single high-quality cell. Just one egg, packed with everything needed to kickstart a new life. It's a high-stakes, high-investment approach. So what's controlling these two totally different factories? It's not magic, it's an incredibly fine-tuned hormonal system. The best way to picture it is as an endocrine orchestra, with the conductors sitting right up in the brain. And the chain of command is actually pretty simple. You've got the conductor, the hypothalamus, which releases the master hormone, GnRH. That note tells the first violins, the pituitary gland, to play two messenger hormones, FSH and LH. Those messengers then travel down to the musicians, the ovaries and testes, and tell them it's time to start the performance. Now, in the male system, this orchestra plays a very steady, predictable tune. It's a classic negative feedback loop, which works just like the thermostat in your house. When testosterone levels get too high, a signal goes to the brain to cool it down, slow production. When levels drop, the brain turns the heat back on. It keeps everything in a nice, stable range, which is perfect for continuous production. Okay, but now, let's switch gears to the female system, which is anything but steady. It's this dynamic, complex, and frankly brilliant 28-day rhythm that has to do two huge jobs at once: mature an egg in the ovary and get the uterus ready for a potential pregnancy. The cycle basically plays out in 3 acts. The first half is called the follicular phase. This is where the hormone FSH helps the follicle grow, and that growing follicle pumps out estrogen. Then you have the midpoint, around day 14, which is the main event, ovulation. And finally, the second half is the luteal phase, where another hormone, progesterone, takes the lead to prepare the uterus.
So here's the crazy part. How do we get to ovulation? Well, for most of that first half, rising estrogen tells the brain, hey, calm down, we're good.
That's negative feedback. But then, something incredible happens. Once estrogen hits a super high level and stays there, it flips a switch. The system completely inverts its own logic. That same hormone now screams at the brain, go, go, go.
And that switch to positive feedback causes this, a massive, dramatic spike in luteinizing hormone, or LH. This is the famous LH surge, and it is the single, direct, unmistakable signal that tells the mature follicle to rupture and release the egg. This is the climax of the entire cycle.
So the egg is released. Now what? The whole system arrives at a critical fork in the road, and it has to answer one simple question. Has fertilization happened? Yes or no? Because the answer sends the cycle down two completely different paths.
Okay, path A, the answer is no. What happens? Basically, the system hits the reset button. The little structure left behind in the ovary, the corpus luteum, starts to break down. This causes progesterone levels to absolutely crash. Without that progesterone, the uterine lining can't be supported, so it sheds. And those now low hormone levels are the signal to the brain that it's time to start the whole thing over again.
But if the answer is yes, something extraordinary happens. The new embryo implants itself in the wall of the uterus, and it immediately starts sending out its own signal, a hormone called HCG. This is the rescue signal. It essentially tells the corpus luteum, hey, don't die, we're pregnant in here. And that keeps progesterone levels high, which maintains the uterine lining and sustains the pregnancy.
And that brings us to our final act, the microscopic, high-stakes drama that is the moment of creation itself.
It happens in a flash, this incredible sequence of events. First, boom, a single sperm fuses with the egg. Instantly, the egg throws up this impenetrable force field to block every other sperm out. That fusion triggers the egg to finish its final division. Then the two sets of genes, one from each parent, fuse together creating a brand new, totally unique genome. This one cell, now a zygote, starts dividing and dividing as it travels to the uterus, ready to implant and begin its journey.
I mean, when you step back and look at it all, from the genetic lottery and the competing production lines to a hormonal orchestra that can literally flip its own logic, it is an absolutely incredible biological dance. This entire system of feedback loops and time signals is designed to solve the one great problem all life faces, making sure there's a future. It's just amazing. And it kind of leaves you wondering, we've seen the mechanics of the dance, but what orchestrates the very beginning of it all?